Hi everyone, this is Crafty Decoria and I hope you're all doing great. So for today's DIY, I will be making 3 decorative Dollar Tree cutting boards using items all from the Dollar Tree. Now with 2 of the cutting boards, I will be using this love sign. So when using these signs, I remove the ribbon, the metal heart, and then once I've removed the metal heart, I sand any glue that is sticking up to make sure that the board is nice and flat. So without further ado, let's jump into these 3 Dollar Tree cutting board DIYs. I hope you enjoy. Sign has nicely dried. I'm going to go ahead and take my red cutting board. I'm going to go down about 1/3 of the way and add some hot glue to the bottom of that cutting board. I then will take my sign that I painted and then place that over top. So I'll have 1/3 of the cutting board sticking out from behind the sign here. I'm going to go ahead, take my Dollar Tree acrylic paint in black and paint the handle. Now the handle is quite glossy, so I'll take some fine grit sandpaper and just sand that down so that the paint will adhere nicely to the handle. Then taking my nautical rope, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the top of this cutting board just overlapping onto the sign here, and then I'll go ahead and add a few rows at the bottom covering these holes, and I think it'll just flow really nicely from the top to the bottom of the cutting board. Lastly, I will take my Wall Street Main Creation sticker. I'll add some Mod Podge to the front of that sign and then place my sticker over top and then just run my hand over it, or you can use a card, just something to press out any bubbles, and I'll let that dry. And that will be my first decorative cutting board. Chalkboard paint has dried. Now I'm going to be adding some wood to the bottom and to the top of the cutting board. And what I'll be using for that are these wooden decor pieces from the Dollar Tree. They are by Multicraft. I have a plaque and an anchor. So the plaque, I already went ahead and found my center point and drew a line all the way across, and then using an X-Acto knife or utility knife, I'm gonna go ahead and cut that in half. And then with the anchor, I'll be using only this top portion of the anchor, and then this will be glued to the top as well. I then will take my Silver Instant Shoe Shine in the color brown, and I will be using this as a stain to apply over my wood. Almost done cutting my wood pieces. I actually ended up keeping a little bit of the bottom of the anchor on here just to make it a little bit wider at the top after this piece here. So it will sit like that, just so that it has a little bit of a thicker part before it goes into the thin part of the handle. Another thing I did as well is these pieces on the end, I ended up cutting them off because I just thought it looked much better. It looked more like a cutting board that way. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut my last piece and then glue these onto the chalkboard here, and then I will stain my pieces. But I do want to say that if you have a really good pair of scissors, that you should be able to cut through this wood. It's a lot quicker than using the utility knife. But if not, then you're just going to have a little bit more elbow grease to get through that wood with the utility knife. To my third and final cutting board. So I'm going to start with a ready board from Dollar Tree. Now this cutting board is going to be round. So I found a stainless steel mixing bowl that I had in my home, and this I'm going to use as a template. So I'm going to go ahead, take my pencil and trace that onto the ready. So now I'm going to take my gigantic craft sticks from the Dollar Tree, and I've already gone ahead and pre-cut these, so I've just cut off the ends. And then I'm going to lay these down until I have completely covered the circle. Now, of course, the ends, I'm going to be overlapping them and then cutting some of the craft sticks to fit into place until the board is completely covered. Once I have glued these down, and I'm just going to be using my hot glue, I then will flip it over, and then using my scissors, I'm just going to cut off the excess of the craft sticks. To my handle for my cutting board. For this, I'll be using 3 of the gigantic craft sticks. So I've just placed them beside each other, and then I went ahead and drew out a shape that I wanted for my handle. So you can kind of see it here. I just used the pencil. And then I want a little notch out in the center. So when I go ahead and cut this center piece, there will be 2 pieces to this, but then when I have all my pieces cut out separately, I will then place them back together, kind of like a puzzle, and then I'll just take some extra pieces of the gigantic craft stick that I've cut off, and then glue them in the back to keep all 3 of these pieces together to form my handle. Once I've done that, I'll just simply glue it to the back of the cutting board. So now I'm going to go ahead and cover up that ready board all around the cutting board. And to do that, I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree nautical rope. And this way it'll give me a nice finish on all the way around my cutting board. last but not least, to finish up this cutting board, I'm going to be using some Dollar Tree poster stickers to spell out Farm Fresh, and then I will seal everything in with some Dollar Tree Mod Podge.